We here at Mayhem Media
understand the trials and tribulations of life.
No matter how hard life can get.
Suicide is never the answer.
There's more assistance available today than ever before.
If you or a loved one are suffering from suicidal thoughts, please don't try and take it on alone.
Call or text 988 if you live in the U.S.
Or if you're in Great Britain, call 116123 or text 85258.
The world is a better place with you in it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to After the Dragon. And I don't have the right background up. Sorry about that. That's my apologies. This has been a pieced together show, and I'm very grateful to have a returning guest, Jedi Theorist, joining me for at least this first episode. And I think he's going to join me through this whole After the Dragon series for season 3. Shout out to Mizpah. It's Father's Day. He's not able to join us, but I'm hoping that he'll be able to be back next week. So we should have a trio or a foursome going when we do most of these episodes. Season 3 starts. Oh, I'm sorry. Theorist, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Normally, I'm much more prepared. You caught me trying to piece this episode together, and also, since you're not super familiar with it, I wanted to try and help you catch up a little bit on it as well. So the season 3 is going to begin tonight at actually 9 o'clock, I believe, is when it is going to start, or is when the new season debuts. Season 3. We did these. We did After the Dragons through seasons 1 and 2. This time we're going to do it before the episodes and then recap the previous week's episode to try and help guide people into the new episodes. And I hope that we can get some viewers. I think we were on a little too late. When you don't come on until 10:30 or 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, most people got work the next day. So we're going to try and do it a little earlier. Not necessarily this early. This is a special one-time episode, one time that we're doing it a little earlier in the afternoon here. So, Theorist, you did not get a chance to fully catch up on the whole series, but you are a fan.
Yeah.
All right. Don't sound so enthusiastic. I need you to dial that down. Season at the end of season 2, let's talk about the end of season 2 here. Daemon has his army in Harrenhal. Rhaenyra has her army of bastards, her dragon rider army of bastards, and everybody's gearing up for war. The King Aegon, he spends the season trying to recover as Aemond takes over as King Regent, but at the end we see Aegon and Varys clubfoot. They set sail. They flee the city. So we don't know where they are or what happens to them. Hopefully that will come back and we'll find out. But with Aemond in charge, we know he's going to war. We see the Lannister army in the closing scenes of the second season. We see the Lannister army, and off in the distance, we see Harrenhal. We know that Daemon is there with his army at Harrenhal, and we know that Rhaenyra is gathering her forces. Oh, I'm sorry. And the Lannisters, Tylan has a fleet from the Free Cities, the pirates and the Free Cities at his command. And we know that Lord Corlys is setting sail with his fleet. So for me, I'm hoping season 3 ends up, I want to be right in the middle of battle for season 3. I want it to, right after the credits, I want to go right into the battle, either the ship battle at sea or the battle for Harrenhal. That's what I'm kind of looking for going into the first episode. I don't know if that's what we're going to get, but that's what I want to see.
So you just want straight guns blazing. You just want to.
It's their style. It's their style to not showcase necessarily a whole battle. We've only gotten to see a couple of battles in the original Game of Thrones. Okay, one of those battles was the battle for Hardhome, which we actually don't get to read about in the books. It's only referenced in the books, so it was awesome. We got to see that in the series. The other one was the Battle of the Bastards. Those are the two full. And I guess the attack on the wall was a full battle too,
Yeah.
but they happened later on in the series. But they often picked up, even House of the Dragon did it at the start of the war. The two little houses ended up slaughtering each other, but we didn't get to see it. It showed us the beginning of the little disagreement, and then it cut right to the end with just bodies scattered across the field.
Right.
Even when Rhaenys died, we got to that battle was already underway when the dragons arrived, and we got to watch everything with the dragons unfold, right? So that battle was already ongoing before we even got to it. It's their style to not necessarily show us an entire battle sequence. So I don't know which one it is. I think that's what we'll see. I think we're going to see one battle, whether it's the battle for Harrenhal or the battle at sea, and then we'll see the entirety of the other battle. That's what I want that's how I want them to kick off this season.
Yeah, it would. I think it would definitely captivate more people if it was like that, instead of just starting off all slow. You know, kind of like what you were saying.
The first
About
two seasons,
original.
yeah, the first two seasons have been a lot of build up. We get a something at the beginning on episode 1, we get something at the end on episode 8, and then the middle is just the build up to whatever happens at the end of the season. We've done that 2 seasons in a row now. I think it's time we have to. I think it's time for some blood, isn't it? I mean, we've seen a little bit of blood. Yeah, Princess Rhaenys died in a dragon battle, a great dragon battle. And Rhaenyra's son died in another dragon battle. But I think it's time to see some war. We know they're going to war. I don't see how you start. We can't have another buildup. Season 2 was the buildup of the armies.
Yeah.
And okay, we are going to war, right? I think we have to end up at war. Now, I don't know if you know this, or any of our viewers, if anybody's watching or tuned in, please leave us a comment, join us in the conversation. I don't know if you know this, but also at the end of season 2, Alicent meets with Rhaenyra. Alicent is the mother of the kings, and I say kings because Aegon was all burned, and now he's gone, and now Aemond is king regent.
Right.
She goes to Rhaenyra at the end of season 2, and they have a face-to-face conversation, much like they did in season 1. Towards the end of right at the end of season 1, and it was that conversation that led to the buildup of the armies throughout season 2. And this is why I think we have to start with war when we start this season. At the end of season 1, Rhaenyra and Alicent have a conversation in the Sept. Rhaenyra goes to Alicent in King's Landing, and they have a conversation. And it's during that conversation that Rhaenyra realizes that her father's ramblings about Aegon being king and you need to save the realm, she realizes that all he's doing is rambling on about the prophecy.
Right.
The prophecy that only gets shared from the king to their heir. It never gets shared outside of that line. For whatever reason, the Targaryens never bothered to share the prophecy outside of ruler and next to rule. It never goes outside that. Even Viserys didn't even share it with his brother when his brother was supposed to be next in line. When Rhaenyra has the conversation about the prophecy, and Daemon grabs her by the neck. For those who have been watching, he grabs her by the neck because he doesn't at that time he doesn't believe in prophecies. He doesn't want to hear about prophecies.
Right.
His only fate is what he can make. Terminator reference. Of course, we see that changes through season 2. Oh, we got J Mac tuned in here. Hey, thanks for tuning in, buddy.
What's
He's saying about
up?
he is the J-Max, the father of Theorist. So back to the conversation. During when Rhaenyra goes to Alicent and she realizes that he's just rambling on about the prophecy, he tries to explain it to her, and he says, and Rhaenyra says, "Call it off. Now that you understand," because Alicent does understand. She gets it. They have a conversation of understanding at the end of season 1.
Right.
And Alicent says to her, "It's gone too far. We can't. How do we do that? How do we bring it back for more?" And she just pretty much refuses. She's like, "No, it's too far now.
Yeah.
It's going to happen." The end of season 2, Alicent goes to Rhaenyra on Dragonstone and pretty much tries to do the same exact thing. And says, "Listen, Aegon's been defeated because he was all burned up. Aemon's crazy. Come in, take King's Landing, kill Aemon, let me and my other kids survive."
Yeah.
Even though Aemon is only ruling as king regent, Aegon is technically still the full king. He's just out of action at the moment. So, and Rhaenyra says the same thing. She's like, "How?" She's like, "You can't do that." She's like, "That's not going to happen." She's like, and then she tries to make a deal. Unlike Alicent, who didn't want to try and back it down, Rhaenyra actually tries to make a deal at the end of season 2. And she says, "Fine, lower the gates, have the army surrender. I'll take Aegon's head, and I'll let you and Helena flee to the free cities, and you can be free. But Aegon and Aemon are losing their heads." And Alicent actually agrees to it at the end of the season. It's the last dialogue at the end of season 2 is between them. And then we see all the cutscenes of all these armies mobilizing, of Daemon's armies mobilizing, of the Lannister land army mobilizing, of Rhaenyra's bastards, of her dragon riders mobilizing, and the Lannister and the Free Cities fleet mobilizing. That is literally the last dialogue, and then all of those scenes. I don't see how we go into season 3 without war, without going right into battle.
What if? Okay, let me ask you something. Would you being more of a prominent viewer of it, would you be mad if they went into the show setting it up as if, how do I word this? I don't know. It's this season 3 starts with future events and in a way of showing that then like they go back and then they show a war. What if they do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
like what if they do that?
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be done in such a way. And I don't think we can. I really don't think you can. I think you have to start. The least that I want is, at the very least, man, I don't see how you get past episode 1 without showing some kind of combat. You're showing at the end of season 2, you're showing all these armies mobilizing. How do you not start it with just war? The only way that I see that they can get around it is if they literally kind of end episode 1 with something happening, and then we go in episode 2, we go right into the war. But I think that would just be a big tease. Why are you making somebody sit? We've already built up. You did the whole season 2 build up. So that's why I think we have to go into it. Now, will we? I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. There's no way to predict what Game of Thrones writers are going to do, because they're nuts and they go off the books all the time whenever they choose to. There's no rhyme or reason to why they decide to go off and to ignore certain aspects of the books. They just
okay, so I don't know why, but I've seen a couple of shows that have done this. They'll build up a fight or a story point, the story's been building up to this certain point, and then it'll end off of a cliffhanger, then be like season 3 comes in or whatever. But they started with it's an important character, but it's some character that is like completely off to it's like a completely different thing, but then somehow along the way tie in to everything. It's like another build up, and
Yeah,
then
they
and it's like,
they've done stuff like that before too in Game of Thrones, especially with some of the like the Red Wedding, where we get some like mid-season build-ups and stuff. But yeah, I just don't, as a fan, I don't know. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to buy whatever they're putting out. Like I am curious to see what they're going to do. But as from my point of view, I don't see how we get anything other than some kind of battle to start this season off. Also, because it's supposedly House of the Dragon is only supposed to be 4 seasons.
right.
And this is season 3 now. So if we're not going to start getting some war now. See, that's what I mean, because they like to do build up. So how do we not start this season with war, and then the rest of season 3 is the build up to the next major conflict, or the next major conflict that they want to showcase? That's what I'm saying. Like I don't see how we can delay any further from the actual showing that we are at war in a full battle.
So would you? Okay, so speaking on, you would want to see it start with battle or war. Okay, so what would you rather see? Would you rather see a big scale battle, or would you rather see certain characters be fighting one-on-one or something? Or would you like it to see a big scale battle, but then it slowly transitions into a 1v1?
That is a really great question. Now this is the thing. The build up is going to have to be Aemond against Daemon. Okay, that has to. They're the most capable warriors on the field. When they fight, that's going to be, I think, when the tide shifts. Like that will be when those two face off. Now, Daemon's in King's Landing, so if we see the Battle of Half Home, Daemon shouldn't be there. So we could see, or I'm sorry, Aemond shouldn't be there. Daemon is going to be there. He's got the army at Half Home. So if we see Daemon lead his army against the Lannister army, that would be a pretty cool thing to see. And Daemon's done it before. Matt Smith, the actor who plays Daemon Targaryen, Matt Smith, he did an entire battle sequence. Ooh, you just made me think of something saying that, dude. The battle sequence where he takes over the Crabbers, where he kills the Crabbers. I'm trying to think, is that the start of a season? I'm going to have to look that up. Hold on. I can't host and look it up at the same time. I got too many things going on. So listen, there's a whole scene, and I don't recall exactly when it happens. And it's Daemon Targaryen. And he does this whole battle scene by himself. He takes on archers and he does this whole thing by himself when they go against the Crabbers. And it's one of the coolest. It's also one of the best battle sequences you're ever going to see. And it's just him. So could we see something like that to start season 3? I wouldn't mind seeing Matt Smith go on another run and just go crazy on the Lannister army as he's leading his army into battle. That would be pretty cool because he has the dragon. We might even get to see him on Dragonback. That's the battle. As a fan, that's what the battle I want to start with. I want to see the battle of the land battle of oh my goodness, what is the name of it? The big fortress, Harrenhal. I want to see the battle of Harrenhal over the sea battle. I wouldn't mind if we did like a cut or a cutaway or a flashback scene for the sea battle, but I want to see the land armies fight in the battle for Harrenhal. That's, as a fan, that's what I want to see. I want to see more Daemon Targaryen. I want to see his dragon fight. I'm hoping that's what we get to see. But I don't know if that's if we will. But that's what we're expecting to see going into season 3 as it has to be war. I don't see how we get through another season without having war.
So you talked about Daemon and Aemond. What about Kristen Cole?
Yeah,
Chris. What about her?
The King's Hand. He's both currently the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard and the King's Hand.
Okay.
So he's in a unique spot right now too that we don't get to see many characters. Him being Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, and then technically the Hand of the King is also even though the Protector of the Realm is usually the king, the Hand in the absence of the king is also referred to as the Protector of the Realm. So he's got a lot of power right now, being both. And him and Aemon see eye to eye on a lot. They're both military strategists, and I think that Kristen Cole is going to feed into Aemon's warmongering until it's too late. I don't know if we'll see something where we'll see Kristen Cole. Will he finally get a conscience? Most of his run in the series he doesn't seem like a very good character. You can say that it's due to other things. You know what I mean? Because Kristen Cole was the first person Rhaenyra had an affair with.
Okay.
So, and then when he wanted her to run away so that they could be together, she said no. And she tried to coax him into just being his side piece while she married the Valerion, and he didn't want that. So he was going to kill himself, and then Alicent stopped him, and then that's when he pledged himself to Alicent, and then they started banging.
Okay.
So Kristen Cole kind of gets himself into situations where I don't really feel sorry for him. Stop screwing whoever the current queen is, and
yeah,
you won't have the problems that you have. Is kind of where I'm at with Kristen Cole. You know what I mean? I think it's called self-control. He's a Kingsguard member too. That's the other thing. They
like
a lifetime of chastity, and he's screwing two queens or princesses and queens. It seems like, I don't know. It seems like he brings on a lot what he brings on himself.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got my notes and stuff out here. It's with a bunch of discussion points and stuff.
That's fine. Have you got anything else you want to bring up?
Yes, the fallout between Daemon and King Viserys. So, okay, so what's going on with that?
Viserys was his brother.
Okay.
Rhaenyra's father.
Okay.
That's how the series starts. For anybody who doesn't know, the series starts with the Great Council. King Jaehaerys Targaryen is getting old, very, very old, and all of his sons died during various wars. So there's no clear heir. So he brings all of the lords of Westeros together to vote on who should be the next king. It's called the Great Council. All of the people of Westeros chose Viserys over Rhaenys. Remember, Rhaenys is married to Lord Corlys Velaryon. She was the King Jaehaerys's eldest relation. She was technically the next oldest relation in the Targaryen family. Viserys was the next eldest male heir in line, and all of the lords of Westeros chose Viserys, not Rhaenys. That's why Rhaenys is referred to the queen that never was. And so Viserys and his line, Rhaenyra and her children, that's the new Targaryen line of succession. And Viserys and Daemon didn't, in the first season, they don't see eye to eye. Daemon wants Viserys to act a certain way. Daemon thinks Viserys is weak and thinks that he should have been chosen as Hand of the King so that he could be guiding his brothers, so that they could be ruling together, not just Viserys ruling, but they should be ruling together as king and hand.
Right.
Also, he doesn't like Otto Hightower, and I don't blame Daemon for that one bit. I'm not an Otto Hightower fan. I think I like him. A lot of people like to think that he's the next Tywin Lannister from the original Game of Thrones. I don't like that comparison. I think Tywin Lannister, while ignorant and arrogant, is a brilliant man, and I think Daemon's description of Otto Hightower is spot on. He says Daemon calls Otto Hightower a second son that doesn't stand to inherit anything that he cannot seize for himself. And I think that is a perfect description of Otto Hightower. So that was their riff. But once Viserys at the end, Damon and Rhaenyra come home before Viserys actually dies. They have a whole dinner together. They bury the hatchet. And then after he dies, all hell breaks loose. That's when the war pretty much starts with his death. Basically, it's a shame, but it's also almost poetic because he's an old man dying on his deathbed, mumbling.
Yeah.
His wife thinks that he's telling her what to do. But Alicent Hightower again is always. I'm a Team Black. If any of the viewers haven't figured it out yet, I am Team Black. I'm on Rhaenyra and Daemon.
I was about to say I'm with
I'm not with Aegon and Aemond and Alicent Hightower and Otto Hightower. I'm not with their side. I think they have the illegitimate claim. I think Rhaenyra has a legitimate claim. Now, as the viewer, we get to understand that, but that's what I kind of liked about the end of season 1 and season 2 between Rhaenyra and Alicent, the way they both have the same conversation. But then the roles are reversed in season 2. You know, at the end of season 1, one of them wants to end it. The other one says, we're too far for that.
Yeah.
The end of season 2, the other one says, we need to stop this. And the other one says, what are you, crazy?
Yeah.
We tried to stop it before.
Yeah.
If we weren't too far then, we are definitely too far now.
Right.
So
Now,
go ahead.
So okay, well, right there in that aspect, who do you think is being the more reasonable one?
I think at this point, I think Rhaenyra is right. I think she tried to do it when it was time to do it.
Yeah.
After their conversation is when her son was eaten by a dragon. King Aegon was killed in a dragon battle, or not killed, but severely wounded in a dragon battle. Rhaenys was killed by Aemond and the big huge dragon Vhagar. Her dragon and her were killed by that. There's been blood spilled at this point. When when the first conversation happened, there was no blood yet. When the second conversation happened, there's been too much blood now. You've got army, you've got the realm at war. You think the realm is just going to say, "Oh, we've worked out our differences.
No.
Everybody go home." You know what I mean? Like at this point, see, and that's what the underhouses. That was the initial first conflict of the war, was these underhouses disagreeing about something that they had disagreed about for hundreds of years. It had nothing to do with who was the rightful queen and who was the rightful king. It had to do with they had a disagreement. But because they were already pledged for different houses, they used that as a reason to just be able to slaughter each other. So at this point, you've got underhouses, even the lesser houses, settling their disputes with their enemies. You can't walk the war back. And that's why I think season 3 has to start with, we have to see combat of some kind. It's been a build up through this. We've had blood spilled. We have had some minor skirmishes. It's time for a full-fledged battle of some kind. It's time for that. That's why I think tonight we're going to see that. It has to be. I think it has to. I don't see how else it can. It probably won't. I'm often wrong. I'm not a good predictor of some TV shows, and the Game of Thrones from their writers, there's no way to know.
Yeah, but bouncing off back what you said, I kind of agree with that. There's only so many times you can build up.
Yeah.
Before it's like, okay, at this point, if you just keep building up and building up and building up, at some point, people are just good. It's like GTA 6. They keep pushing it back and pushing it back until some point people are just going to be like, I don't even want to play it.
Yeah, I don't care when it comes out. I'll get it if it comes out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think you're right about that. I think that's why I think we can't wait. Now, the least that I'm willing to accept in this one is Rhaenyra's attempt to tank King's Landing. Even if it just ends up like her fleet's coming in and then they start battling back, or Vhagar and Daemon get in the sky and then they all turn back. That's the very least, because as I said, at the end of the season, Rhaenyra and Alicent make a plan for Alicent to surrender King's Landing.
Right.
So at the very least, I want to see the attempt at the surrender of King's Landing.
Right.
even if it fails, I still want to see those events. That's what I'm saying. We have 3 events that have to unfold, and it has to be one of those 3. We either have to see the Battle of Harrenhal, because we saw all of season 2, Daemon building his army.
Yeah.
And then at the end of season 2, one of the final scenes is the Lannister army marching and Harrenhal off in the distance. We see the Lannister fleet from the Free Cities and all the ships they got from there sailing across the Narrow Sea. We see Lord Corlys getting his fleet together and setting sail. Those 2 armies are heading towards each other. And Rhaenyra and Alicent negotiate the surrender of King's Landing.
Right.
That is how season 2 ended, with these 3 things leading up. One of these 3 things is how we have to start.
Right.
And and if they don't, I think it could be a problem for the show. I think it could really hurt the show.
Yeah, because I mean, from what you've been saying, because I'm gonna watch the new one tonight as well. And I've already got it written down my notes, what you've just said, those 3 points, and I'm gonna be looking for those.
Yep. That's what we have to see tonight. And that's what I hope everybody else is looking for. If you've been watching, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for leaving a comment. We're hoping to get some more viewers. Now, what we want to do is do this as a lead in to the episode. Okay. So the episodes, I believe, are going to be airing at 9:00 and, or 9 or 8. I'm actually not sure. I'm gonna have to look it up when they air. There, we're gonna do it like an hour and a half beforehand. But my schedule on Sundays is so out of control right now. And next week is actually an AEW pay-per-view, and we're doing a prediction show for that. So we may still be early next week when we do episode 2 of After the Dragon, and of course I'll have all my branding and stuff uploaded into the studio. Everybody who follows us knows that I have all that stuff done, because you've seen me posting it and sharing it on Facebook, but I didn't upload it into the studio. So that's completely my bad for not doing that. But next week I will, and I'm also going to try and include, see if I can't get a family tree of some kind together to help keep the relationships together, and like some kind of, at least for the main characters, some kind of at least their picture, who their relation is, and stuff like that. I'll see if I can't get that done this week. It's a lot of work, but we'll see what we can do. Theorist, anything else you want to touch on before we get ready to close this out? Or any other questions?
No, none that I can think of. I think the best point that we covered was the 3 points that you brought up. They have to, the army's building up.
Yeah.
They have to, something like you said of an attempt has to happen with the surrender. And where it's an agreement. Okay, so if it's an agreement, right? What happens when they're like going into it and somebody finds out and sets a trap?
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, you're right. That would be something. That would be something too. Aemon is clever and wily, and he's backed into a corner right now. So, but I think he'll find a way to pull it out. So you could be right. He could find out. He could see the events transpire. Getting him. I think Alicent's going to take Helena, and she's gonna try and flee with her. I think they're gonna try and flee the city. Aemon's gonna find them. Probably kill his mother, Alicent. He can't kill Helena because she's a dragon rider and he needs her. Even though she straight up refused to fly the dragon in this battle. Now I'm glad you actually brought that up. That brought me to something else then. But I do, and yes, I will say Aemon could see that and then try and set a trap for them. Yeah. Yeah, we could see that too. That could be something too. That could be catastrophic for Rhaenyra's side if they going in thinking that it's going to be a surrender and then they're in and then it's yeah. That could be really big.
If that, I will add like a little pin in this. If that happens, I will add some. I don't know. I will say somebody that's main to the story might get killed in this situation.
Yeah. Well, I think if Aemon finds his mother trying to sneak her and her sister out of King's Landing, I think he kills Alicent for sure. At the very least, Alicent dies.
Like right there on the spot.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Aemon does not mess around. He threatened to kill Helena when she refused to ride with him. The only reason he didn't is because, and this is the point that I wanted to touch on, Helena has the sight. She can see things that are happening. In fact, it appears at the end of season 2, and I just rewatched the last episode of season 2 before an hour or two before we did this episode. It appears that she can share Daemon's visions. At the end of season 2, Daemon, before before the final sequence and showing all the armies and the mobilization and stuff, Daemon has a vision. He's been being stalked all of season 2 by this person, this woman who's basically a witch. She can see, she has the sight. She has powers in Westeros. Okay. And we know this from Game of Thrones. Some people have powers, right?
Right.
So, and she has powers. And she's been giving Daemon visions this whole season. He went crazy at Harrenhal. It feeds to the illusion that Harrenhal is cursed. That we find that out in Game of Thrones. Many of the characters say Harrenhal is cursed. No one wants Harrenhal because it's cursed. It turns out it might not be cursed. It just might be a focal point for more magic or whatever. Let's not get into that. But anyway, so Daemon's been having these visions, right? These seers. And in the final vision, when he finally understands that his place is to submit to Rhaenyra, that is his place, because he sees all the imagery and he sees the events of what we see in the Game of Thrones, of the Night Army gathering, of Daenerys Targaryen storming King's Landing with her dragons, even though nobody understands. Let's say that again for another time too. So he sees the prophecy being fulfilled, right? And he understands it finally. He understands that he's irrelevant to the thing, that eventually, even if he wins and rules, eventually he'll die.
Yeah.
And unless he wants to see an end to all life, an end to the Targaryen dynasty, everything, he has to fall in line behind Rhaenyra. Helena shows up in that what's the word I'm looking for? In that vision.
Yeah.
Helena shows up in that vision and she's talking to him as her. Now, I have to go back to watch it one more time, but I think Daemon is seeing this as his mother telling him this. That's how Daemon's seeing the vision. It's an image of his mother telling him this. But then they cut away when his mother's speaking to him, and then that's when they cut away to the scene with Helena and Aemond and him threatening her. But right at the beginning of that scene, she's looking away from the camera, she's looking out into the city, and she's finishing the sentence that Daemon's mother was saying in the vision. It's another one of those small things. Remember, I told you about at the end when Viserys died. If you weren't paying attention, if you didn't have the volume up, you didn't hear him whisper his wife's name.
Right.
If you could have easily missed that. You could, and I didn't even see it until I had just watched it today. I've seen that episode 2 or 3 times, and I just caught it on this episode where she's actually in Daemon's vision.
So you think it could be like some type of awakening or something?
I honestly, Helena is the most interesting character. That's who I'm almost most interested in her season. What is going to happen with Helena, and where does she fall in this? As we've just spent 35 minutes talking about, we've seen the armies mobilizing, right? But there's a few wild cards on the page, and I'm so glad because I just remembered another one. But Helena is a huge wild card. She's a seer. She's seeing things before they're happened. Since you didn't get to watch the full list, look for this when you go back and watch season 1. Look for this. They think she's touched in the head because she keeps saying things. all just weird stuff, right? She's got this fascination with bugs and spiders and she just keeps repeating these weird things, right? One of those things that she repeats, I don't know how many other viewers watch this. This is in season 1. This is when they're all still kids, right? Helena's there. She's doing her playing with her bugs like she does as she's a child, okay? And
Right.
Aemond is the only one at that time without a dragon. He's the only Targaryen without a dragon. All right. None of the dragons have selected him. He hasn't been able to break any. He has no Targaryen. So all of his cousins and his siblings get together and they give him a pig to be his dragon. So
Right.
he's throwing a temper tantrum. He's crying to his mom. They all gave me a pig. They gave me a pig. And Alicent says, "You will one day ride a dragon." And then off in the back, it's almost not noticeable again. Alicent says, "Yep, but it'll cost him an eye." And it's just like a rambling. It's just you think nothing of it. Like,
Right.
she's crazy. And then when he breaks Vhagar, that's when him and his cousins have a disagreement. They're throwing rocks at each other, and he loses an eye in a knife fight at like 12, 13 years old. These 12 or 13-year-old princes are having a fight, throwing sand at each other's eyes, using rocks to bash each other in the head, and using knives to cut each other's eyes out. It's one of the craziest, most brutal scenes you're going to see.
Wow.
These kids beating on each other, and he loses an eye minutes after breaking Vhagar.
So she can see
She
future
can-
events, but it doesn't necessarily tell her what is
Or
going to
does it?
transpire.
Or does it? And she just is not relaying that information.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
Now,
one.
this is
I
the
didn't
other
think
thing.
of
Now,
that.
this is the other thing. When in that scene, the one that's following, when she's in the scene, when she's in Daemon's vision, okay, and this is when they're all grown up at the end of season 2 now, okay? Aemon comes out and he wants her to ride with her to go to do a preemptive attack, right? And he's
Right.
threatening he's at the put. She's saying no, and he's threatening to kill her. He says, "What if I throw you off this balcony right now?" And the only thing that gets him to back off from her is she says, "I see your bones." And then I see you die. I see the snows fall on you. I see you decay. Like, she goes off on this whole big thing, and he actually gets like he steps back and lets her go, and like he gets spooked by it.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. But does she? Or is she just using her sight now? Is she starting to figure out how to use it to her own advantage? Because people know that something's up.
Right.
That's what I'm wondering. Does she actually? That was the other thing. She was in Daemon's vision, and then did she use a vision? Did she actually see Daemon? I mean, of course he dies. We know that he's going to die eventually, but does it happen before or after he wins the war?
Right.
So, of course, we know that she likely sees his bones because she can see things in the future, right? But does that happen before or after he wins? So is she starting to learn to use her sight as for her own defensive purposes and her own manipulations, or did she actually see it when, like, during the war? Is he going to die during the war? Does he win? Like, that's the thing. Helena is one of those wild cards. There's question marks on the battlefield that we don't know. And here's the other one. We're gonna close this episode out. For those who are still watching, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this because I've enjoyed talking about it.
Yeah.
Here's the other wild card. Let me bring up the character list right quick, just so that I can bring up the okay, it's Phoebe Campbell, and she plays Rhaena.
Right now.
She plays Rhaena Targaryen. Rhaena, she's a twin sister. Rhaena and who is it? Is it Baela? Rhaena and Baela are the twin sisters. Are they twins? No, they're sisters. I don't think they're twins.
Okay.
Are the first offspring of Daemon Targaryen. They are Daemon's daughters. Okay.
Okay.
Daemon married the sister of remember way back in this episode when I said the guy that was gay that
Yeah.
Rhaenyra married.
Yeah.
He was Lord Corlys's son. Daemon marries Lord Corlys's daughter. Technically, Daemon is they're related. Daemon was related to both of them. So that was another incestuous relationship. But Daemon had 2 kids with her, who was the first rider in the series of Vhagar. Aemond only gets to break Vhagar after she dies during pregnancy, something we see a lot of in this. We've seen 2 characters die during pregnancy, and then Rhaenyra literally will her way through the 6th one, which should have been fatal. But those 2 girls are the actual legitimate granddaughters of Rhaenys and Lord Corlys, and they're the daughters of Daemon. Now, one of them is a dragon rider, and she's set to marry Rhaenyra's eldest son.
Right.
The other one was not a dragon rider, and she was set to marry Lord Rhaenyra or Queen Rhaenyra's second eldest son, the one who was eaten by another dragon at the end of season 1.
Right.
So she no longer has a mate, she no longer has a marriage, and she doesn't have a dragon. Not at the end of season 2, but towards the end of season 2, Rhaenyra sends her away with her 2 youngest sons to keep them safe during war. Okay? She sends them to the Vale. Well, in the Vale, there's a dragon that is unclaimed. I think it might even be, don't quote me on this, anybody who knows this, but it might be the cannibal dragon, because he looks really weird. This is a dragon that eats other dragons, apparently.
Oh, nice.
But that's how it's described, as a cannibal dragon. I don't know. I tried to look up his name before we started, but I couldn't actually find it. So we'll have to include that in next week's episode. But the end of her season 2, it doesn't actually happen at the end of season 2, but the last time we see her is she's in the Vale with her kids, and they're moving on to whatever's next. They're going to wherever they're going next to stay safe. And then she backtracks, and it ends with her looking face to face at the cannibal dragon. I think she's going to try and get a dragon herself or die in the process, because she tried several times and has nearly died several times trying to break a dragon.
Right.
So I think she's getting this dragon, or she's going to die in the process. She can't go through this war not being a dragon rider. So that's the other wild card. The other question mark on the battlefield is she going to become a dragon? That might be the only other thing I might be okay with them opening season 3 with, is showing whether or not she breaks this dragon.
I say yes.
So I would hope that she can, but I don't know if she does. I am not familiar with the books. They're staying close to the books, but they're also some stuff they're shifting a little bit. So it's hard to say what's going to happen. But those are the 2 wild cards too: Helena and what did I say? Baela.
Yeah.
No, Rhaena.
Rhaena, yeah.
Because they all have to start with R's. They're Rhaenys, Rhaenyra, Rhaenyra. It's yeah. So
Yeah.
Rhaena is the one who might be getting the dragon. So she's the other question mark. Helena Targaryen and Rhaena Targaryen are the question marks right now. One is a seer who doesn't want to ride her dragon, who's also a very large dragon, birthed during the Conqueror's reign, and the other one is still a very large dragon, an old dragon, and is potentially the cannibal dragon, the dragon that eats other dragons. So it's the only one that eats. It's the only cannibalistic dragon that I.
Yeah, it's what is the largest?
He might be the second or third largest dragon in the world, the cannibal dragon.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Oh, did you? Okay, good.
It says in the lore of House of Dragon, the cannibal is the largest and oldest of the wild dragons living on Dragonstone.
Yes, but not the oldest and the largest in the realm. That would belong to Vhagar.
Okay, so the realm.
That would belong to Vhagar. Vhagar, we know, is the largest dragon in the realm because one of Aegon the Conqueror's sisters, Visenya, I believe, rode Vhagar.
Oh,
So he was actually a full dragon 100, 200 years before, he was already a full-grown dragon 200 years before where we are right now.
Yeah.
So he's definitely the oldest dragon, but I believe the cannibal one is the next. It's definitely the biggest and the oldest of the wild dragons,
Right.
and it's potentially the second or third biggest in the realm. I'm trying to think if there was one other dragon. Oh, Damon's might be the second biggest at this point yet, and I'm drawing a blank on who his dragon name is, but the one with the long neck,
Yeah.
the weird looking one. No, he's got the unique looking one with the long neck, which is pretty cool. Looks weird, but it's pretty cool. So I think that's where we're going to end episode 1. We discussed a lot of stuff. We recapped a lot of stuff. I hope we didn't confuse anybody. And so next week, what we'll do is we'll talk about specifically about what we watched tonight on episode 1. And that's how these are going to go. We're going to recap the previous weeks leading into the current episode. So that's how it's going to happen. Tune in. Please hit that share button, hit that like button, and please leave comments. We want to interact with people, and hopefully we get some more viewers as we go over these next 8 weeks.
Yep.
Theorists, thank you for joining me. I hope that you're going to join us for the whole season, and I hope that Ms. Paul will be able to join us next week. And Theorist also has his own YouTube. Go look him up, Jedi Theorist, not Jedi the Theorist, Jedi Theorist 98. Look him up on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Facebook. No Facebook, just YouTube and Twitch.
YouTube, Twitch, Kick, TikTok.
Oh, Kick too. Okay, and TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So go look him up on that. He's going to be doing some Star Wars content on his own, and then of course he's going to be our. I'm going to be tapping him as our book specialist for when we get into our own Star Wars series, because I know the books, but not all of them, and not as extensive as I'd like to. So, but I do know some of them. But I needed a book professional too to back me up on some of the stuff that people who watch the movies are likely going to be like, no, and then we're like, Theorist, would you tell him, please?
Yes, sir.
So that's what's coming up. We got a lot of content coming up, including episodes every week for the next couple of weeks. So tune in. We got independent wrestlers. Shout out to Aftermath Pro, who will be having some more wrestlers on from their roster this week. And of course, as I said, next week we have the prediction show for AEW's Forbidden Door. We have episode 2 of After the Dragon, and we have episodes all week long. So thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment, hit that share button. Oh, and hit the storefront, bonfire.com/store/Mayhem Media Shop, and pick up some storefront from the Mayhem Media storefront. We appreciate it. Until next time, for Theorists, I am your host, the bad guy of podcasting, JD, and that's the end.